Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to go over the 5 places that T-tops leak on this 87 Mustang GT and my 5 fixes for those. So buckle up. The science teacher demo shows us that water under pressure is a leak problem. Water in free fall is not so much. So water is very predictable and can be beaten no matter how frustrating it is and how many times you think you have your leaks fixed, but they come back. So just know this, there are thousands of holes from nails in your roof right now, but your roof is waterproof. Why? Because of this overlap and these shingles here. So all this rainfall in here hits this and comes down, down to the gutter. And so it is very hard, takes a lot of wind to make any amount of water go up underneath those flaps and down to find the nail holes. So if we can keep water moving downhill and don't clog anything, it will not go back uphill and it should not cause us problems. All right, leak number 1, the trim. So most of the water sheds off this roof. It's got a crown, but what does stick can find its way under this trim. Originally, it came with a little bead of asphalt or bituminous tape, and when I took this trim off, it had deteriorated. This roof's actually bounced a little bit, so I put on a huge bead of silicone caulk underneath it before I put the trim back down and riveted it. I also had a little pinch piece to keep this roof from bouncing. There is inside, ooh, how well can we see this? Okay, there's the T-top frame and there's the lighting. Okay, that piece of metal right there is keeping this roof from bouncing, and I put it in, I riveted it, but it was still loose, so I shimmed it with some 2x, and no more leaks along the trim. All right, still up here next to the trim, number 2 leak are these channels. Now if water has sat in there, this paint has deteriorated, you'll get some rust, you'll get some pitting, and right here on this seam, you'll get some water intrusion. So I'm not sure where I had a leak. This has been repainted and it's got a silicone bead around that seam. But you'll see back here in my display case, this board, it got leaked either from that first spot, the trim, or the second spot, the leaky channel. So again, paint and seal. You can fill this whole channel with Flex Seal or just put a bead of silicone on this back side of that metal seam to fix problem area number 2. All right, working my way down, transition from channel to gasket is another fail point. So these gaskets I replaced, and when I did, the original gasket here was flapping, and so I made sure to set that in a thick bead of caulk or silicone caulk so that nothing is getting underneath that caulk. It is all coming down the channel and out on the outside of the gasket like it's supposed to. That point is fix number 3. All right, number 5, I'm going to come back to here. It's got a part A and part B to it. But for 4, I'm going to talk about the vertical gasket here. So I actually had a tear in my original one that I tried to smoothly putty. It did not do a great job. And the other problem I have, walking on this side, this is the fix. I have some foam in here because if this foam is pulled out and I close this door, you have daylight through that. So I had to find something as a spacer to make this gasket connect and seal to my glass. And making sure you don't have any gaps or tears in the vertical is fix number 4. Little spacers to push those out. A little bead of grease, you can see the shiny. I've got some dielectric grease on that to repel some water. It'll collect some dust, you'll have to wipe it down from time to time, but it will help keep the water on the outside of your car. So fix number 4. All right, number 5, this was where my biggest problem was. Water on this horizontal edge here would collect runoff and it'd work its way back behind the glass and drip on the passenger and driver's lap. So part A, what I did was I added a little thickness by RTV adhesive, some foam tape, let any water that's coming down and wash it on the outside have a little further to travel back before it got to the glass, and that has created a little drip edge. Part B of that horizontal edge, besides helping yourself with a drip edge that's a little further off the glass, increasing your tolerances there, is Wobble. And so you have T-tops that the window rolls up and it's bouncing a little bit because your guide bushing does this on the way up. Sometimes it catches the top of the window like that, and sometimes it catches it like that, and you can leak one day and not the other. So if these guide bushings are worn out, your seal will be inconsistent. The other thing make an inconsistent seal, you can see that these receivers for those have been worn severely. So these T-tops rattle a lot, and they seat differently every time you open and close them. Engage and disengage that latch, they seat a little bit different. So what I have done right now is these are not installed. I actually have vacuum hoses shoved in those holes, and that is giving me a less rattly ride and a more consistent seat at the moment. When I put the rest of the trim on, I'll have to repair these with fiberglass or something. All right, the last one I discovered was right here where I replaced the door gasket all the way around. It snips there, and it snips and tucks back in here. And the T-top gasket comes and overlaps it. And then the trim holds it in place. There and there, up here, A-pillar trim. So this piece here, the lighting's decent. It's got a little T. Shoot. Anyway, there's a little piece of rubber here that has to be tucked back behind the trim. And if it's not tucked behind the trim, like it is now, untucked it, water was coming and pooling here at the bottom of the seal and then washing over there. And so once I tucked that, all the water stayed outside the gasket and washed down. The other tip I'll give you is on these cars down low, there's little pee holes. Shoot. There we go. There's one. So if those are clogged, because water is supposed to get washed down, get inside your door and find its way out. If those are clogged from pine straw or something, you're going to want to clean those out or you'll rust out the bottom of your doors. That is not a T-top leak problem. That is just a door drainage suggestion. I want to give you a close-up look at this foam tape. It's about 1 inch by 1/8 inch foam tape. It was actually supposed to be used in those channels. I'm not using the channels. I have actually cut some foam tape to adhere to the face of this exposed T-top gasket. And what it's supposed to do is come out 1/8 of an inch and let the water drip down the face instead of coming there and sitting on top of that glass and working its way down onto my lap for a wet lap. So I have, let's see if I can hold this. Anyway, I've modified it to have little V-cuts that those have. There's a little silicone in there, so I had to shorten it here. But basically, it'll go there. It'll be fatter, sit out farther, and a little lower than this current gasket. And I will show you what that looks like. After it's adhered, I'm going to take that tape side off, stick it in, and then the gap, I'm going to put black RTV right in there to help seal. Okay, I unlocked it. Peek up there. We do have, when I sprayed up, we have some water sitting at that joint. So that water, whatever gets there, still has a potential of getting in, but that's upsprayed water. And let's see how much of the inside of this window. Any water run down there? Any wetness up along this edge. It stayed on the outside. Okay, we got a little bit there. Again, that gap is covered now, much better. And then if you look in there, you see my foam spacer that pushed this out to touch the glass. Oh, what did I just do? And then looks like we are dry on this plastic. Nothing's gotten into this door sill. All right. I gotta actually try this out on a rainy day. All right, guys, I'm coming to you live from underneath an umbrella. Be heading home here in a couple hours. This is the car. It looks like the seats are mostly dry. That edge. Oh, there's some water on the inside of the glass right there. You see it? Oh shoot. But I'll drive her home tonight and let you know. Alright guys, I'm back from work. Drove back in the rain. I am in a dry car. So pulling into the garage. Bone dry. No drips coming in there on passenger side, no drips here. I have a dry lap. It's been raining all day. So pretty exciting stuff if you ask me. Pretty exciting. The other thing to say is this car has changed from a sunny daily driver to an everyday daily driver. Has a perfect attendance in 2023, taking my son to school and driving the car to the office, rain or shine. Made huge headway. I didn't think I'd ever stop the leaks. This the 88 model I had never leaked. This car leaked from day one in all 5 of those spots I showed you. The other thing you're not going to be able to stop in these cars is when the channel's full of water, and you sit your fat butt down and all the water tilts down, it's going to drip straight down in your lap. Alright guys, so that's most of the story. I've got some hodgepodge footage in there of adjusting that drip edge. Really, if you can fix the flat spots, that's 95%. Where water stagnates and sits, channels, trim, that top ridge of your glass, that's 95% of the leaks. The vertical stuff, as water falls, it's not trying to work its way in. It's taking the path of least resistance. So your vertical edge on your glass, you can invite water in with those big air gaps, but most of the time, that's not going to be the problem. You fix the horizontal stuff, 95% of your drippy drips will be gone. So thanks for watching another T-Top tutorial from FOMO Bros.